Invincible.
Yes, the first of many shows this week.
Mm-hmm.
More
Really good
moral,
episode.
yeah, really good episode, and more moral dilemmas once again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sensing a
This
theme.
was yeah. This was a fun one because Jenna was watching this one with me and she doesn't normally watch Invincible.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a obviously the shocking moment where
Yes.
Powerplex accidentally kills his wife and child. When
Yeah.
he was losing it just before that, and you get like that kind of a little bit of foreshadowing that he might be about to hurt them.
Yeah.
General's like, "Oh, surely he won't though, right?" I'm like, "This ain't the kind of show that won't kill the kid."
Yeah. You do not know what show you are dealing with.
Yeah, this is definitely the kind of show that will kill the kid, and they did kill the kid. I didn't expect them to show us. I know it's animation. I didn't expect them to show us a charred
Yes,
child corpse.
I was like, as you knew this build up was happening of him being like losing control of his anger and frustration, I was like, uh-oh, the wife's gonna die. But then I was like, it also kind of feels like the wife's kind of okay to die to make a point here as well. Like she
Mm-hmm.
also seemed somewhat like,
Oh, she was absolutely in with his plan. I don't think
yeah,
she expected it to end in her death, but she
no,
agreed with him that Invincible should pay for what he did.
yeah. I was thinking when they first showed like the charred pillar, I was gonna be like, oh, he's completely just like fried them. They're gone. Like there
Yeah,
was just gonna be like nothing left of them.
pile of ash.
Yeah. Then we got the full on
I,
like
I, I was
close up,
genuinely
and I was like,
surprised they
oh,
were brave enough to animate a dead child. That's
yeah.
brave. Is brave the right word? Fuck it, we'll go with brave.
No, I think brave is
But
the right way to go. Like,
it was a really interesting story. I enjoyed it a lot. I really enjoyed the kind of acknowledgement, foresight from the other characters up until the end that Mark shouldn't be the person to interact with him.
yes,
He was like, "Yeah, the guy's calling me out. I'm not working tonight. Someone else will deal with it."
yeah,
Then at the ceremony, Eve was like, "You are just going to make this worse right now. I
yeah,
will deal with him." And that is a lot of the time in just superhero media, not a thought that gets thrown about because a lot of the time superheroes do have, for want of a better word, massive fucking egos. So he
yeah.
called me out by name. He made this personal. Whereas this shows like a bit more professionalism from the superheroes. It's like no, Mr. Supervillain. You don't get to decide who you're talking to.
Yeah, it
I'm the
also
hero. I'm going to deal with you.
like it also plays into the idea that there are multiple superheroes in this world, and it's not
Mm-hmm.
like say this was like DC and he's like they're calling out Superman, but he's in Gotham. You just expect oh Batman's not gonna show up to this, and
Exactly.
oh well Batman's just there like no I'll just wait till Superman rocks up like oh he's destroying something no that's not my problem like the idea that
Exactly.
the other heroes would deal with this quickly as well, and them like you said them going no you're not you're just gonna make it worse is
Absolutely
like
would, because this guy's whole thing was right. I want to fight this dude. I want to
yeah
expose him. It's like okay, so just by giving him what he wants, it's just going to escalate because he's trying to make it
mm-hmm.
clear he doesn't want to hurt anyone, which was like his big
yeah
thing. I don't want to hurt anyone. I just want invincible. So if you don't give him invincible, it's much easier to try and just discharge the
yeah
situation. Eve kicked ass as well. The speed with which she realised pummeling this guy would just make him more
well
dangerous. Brilliant work from Eve. My goat.
I loved the bit as well though where she got like the first like knockback and
Mm-hmm.
Mark's like oh shit and he goes to go in and his mum's like give her some more credit than that like
Yeah, again, proper writing of how humans behave. Because there is,
mm-hmm.
and don't get me wrong, I get part of it is because a lot of the time in like comic book relationships, the male is the superhero. So if the woman's in danger, he's like, "Oh, I must
yeah
save you." But that does spill over into relationships where both characters are heroes.
mm,
So, I mean, we kind of saw it in Reacher, which we'll get onto later.
yeah
But I do love Debbie as a non-powered woman, just going, Eve can handle herself. You are just going to make it worse. Will you sit the fuck down and let her do what she does? She is fine.
it's also like I get Mark like you say Mark's response is obviously he knows he is the strongest person on earth
Mm-hmm.
so it's like anyone that gets knocked back is like, oh shit, this is someone strong. It needs to be my job to deal with them. And then his mum being like, knowing that this isn't a like Viltrumite level threat. She knows what those are because she's been around them for a while
Exactly.
now, and being like, just chill. Like this isn't for you. I also love the funny point, like when they go into that event, the memorial
Oh
thing,
yeah.
and they're like, "Oh no, we're taking the car," and he's like, "Oh thank God, the boyfriend," and then he gets in the car and he's being flown. And he's just like, what is wrong? What is my life? Like, how is no one going to notice that? Like,
I assume this just because they're like up high enough is the logic.
I just
Like,
thought,
you've got glasses. How good is your eyesight? Even if you did see a car flying in the sky, are you going to see who's carrying it?
no, I definitely
And
would. Yeah,
also,
I
in a
suppose,
world
yeah.
where
I'd
people
just be
can
like,
fly,
yeah, I suppose
in a
that,
world where people
yeah,
can
that's
fly,
true.
you're just going to look and go, it's one of the ones who can fly and carry a car. That's all of
True.
them.
That is true. I will
I did
say,
enjoy the brotherly banter. Just like, Oliver, get in the car before your
yes,
makeup runs off, for fuck's sake.
yeah. um, I will say, going back to Power Plays as a character, I thought, I totally get where his character came from. Like that anger of being like, but this guy did kill lots of people, even though he was saving the world. Does that really get him off for murder? And it's this
When you
constant question we've been getting of like, does the good outweigh the bad?
do the ends justify the means? It's my favourite question that this kind of media always portrays. And my favourite part about Powerplex is all of this situation was avoidable if they did what he wanted in the first place of doing an investigation.
Yeah.
Because that's all initially he wanted. He
Yeah.
just wanted him to be forced to sit down and answer some hard questions about what the fuck happened.
Yeah.
Now, granted, he might not have been satisfied when like an investigation was done, and yeah, Mark actually reduced the amount of lives that would have been lost that day. Blah blah blah, whatever. Because we do know the facts of the situation, having seen it previously. We know that Mark, despite not saving as much as he would have liked to have done, with how underpowered he was at the time compared to Omni-Man, and the fact that he was reeling from the revelation his dad was fucking evil,
Yeah.
he did the best he could.
Yeah.
So after them questions were answered, you would have had a decent chance of him probably still being upset that not enough was done. But at least then, he doesn't have that holier than thou ground to stand on. You're just letting him get away with it. It's like, no, we questioned him. We looked at the evidence. He, although it doesn't feel like it, without him, it would have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
And it would have been.
Yeah. It is that
But
of
yeah,
like,
his core thing of where's the accountability is absolutely valid. And then when we see that he works at the Pentagon,
yeah.
and he hears them going, yeah, who else gets to fly in and destroy the Pentagon and just walk away scot-free? That is a very valid thing to be pissy about.
Yeah, see, that was so when they said that, I was like, hang on a second, I didn't even think about it from the point of view of like, we get it from Cecil, like what he expects. Like, we're kind of like, yeah, Cecil, you're a bit of a dick. So it's like, you've got all this tech, like, it was never going to be, if Mark wanted to kill you, he would have killed you. There was no actual danger in that moment. But then you don't think about it from like just the average worker, like, oh, I clocked into work today, and you just walk into the corridor and you're just like, boom, and you're just like, okay, just gonna back out of here because what the fuck was? And we're like, they just let him walk out of here, like,
yeah. And you've got to remember, most of these like GDA scientists, they don't know that Mark is, for the most part, a very chill dude. Although it doesn't seem like it at times. He is. He doesn't want to hurt people. He actively avoids it at all costs. He pulls his punches. He takes more hits than he should to try and make sure he's not hurting people. They know that they should know that they're safe, but they don't know they're safe because all they see is this being that the dad of tried to destroy the world, and he can just fly through the roof of the Pentagon whenever he wants, and apparently there's nothing we can do to stop him.
Yeah, that's all they see is like, we can't control this guy. Is that not what happened to his dad? Like, that's all people are going to start to think.
Yeah.
But yeah, once again, like the moral questions, they're really like testing everyone on what they think this season. I'm very excited, like I'm sure many people are that have read the comics, from the teaser at the end of this episode. We finally got to find out who's been watching him.
So it was fully revealed that it's Angstrom, and he's got his little army of variant
Invincibles.
marks.
Yeah.
So the big thing to remember, while I haven't read the comics yet because I decided I was going to watch the show, but that resolve is getting weaker by the day. I've got to be honest. Invincible War is one issue of the comic run,
Okay.
so it's not like an arc that we should expect to last 4 or 5 episodes.
Probably going to be.
It should be a 1 episode, one and done. Doesn't mean
Okay.
it's not going to be a great episode, but there have been a lot of like diehard comics fans of the Invincible series going, let's temper expectations. Yes, that issue was phenomenal and it was a great issue. It was just a issue though. We're not going to get an entire season of the Invincible War or some shit.
Yeah.
Which I think is good for them people to be out there going, let's
Yeah, true.
temper these expectations. Like kind of like the drama we had with Hero Gasm. Do you remember? With the boys.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, there's gonna be no, and I was like, and I ended up coming in, I was like, I felt it was a bit underwhelming. I didn't think it was as crazy as we were told it was gonna be. Yeah.
I will say, like, from my perspective, I kind of just was like, I know we only have 2 episodes left, so I was like, okay, maybe this is how they're gonna arc out the end of this season. So at most, I'm expecting 2 episodes. If it's just one massive long animated fight sequence, essentially, like, I'm all for that. Like, that's totally fine. I am already kind of wasn't expecting this to be a long thing, kind of because we know the longer arc story is the whole Viltrumites slowly coming and trying to take over Earth. I will say after that, like, end clip, and like it was like the day after the episode or something, I saw that like a thing came out of Stephen Ewan has been cast as 18 Invincibles in the Invincibles season 3.
I did enjoy that announcement of Stephen Yeun being cast in 18 new roles in Invincible. So the other thing that I thought was quite interesting, and it was a large talking point about Invincible. So people have taken the comic page of where like Angstrom Levy is revealed to be a bit like disfigured and fucked up. And commanding the army. And in the comic, his face is a lot more disfigured and gross.
Yeah.
So everyone was like, and this is why I can never take the Invincible show seriously. And I mean, you know, stuff like that. I for the most part, I just let everyone off water off a duck's back because you're not going to change these people's opinions, right?
Yeah.
But I did see someone in response make a very interesting point that I hadn't considered before. And it went something like this. People will claim to be comic book fans, but in the end, they just want comic books to be treated like a storyboard for another version of the media. And as a result of that, they're not respecting comic books as a medium. And I'd never considered it that way before, but fuck me, if that isn't an interesting opinion. Like, obviously, people are free to disagree or agree with that. I think there is some truth to it. I think taking a panel of a comic book which is deliberately designed to be overdrawn, not in a bad way, it's just to give as much visual detail as possible, and going, why didn't the show do that, is an unrealistic expectation, because if they do that for one scene, they have to do it for all of the scenes. Otherwise, you're going to have people go, but that's not consistent. He looks different scene to scene. That makes no sense. So in a way, in animated media, you do have to give up a little bit sometimes to make it more consistent, because you can't draw at that same high ridiculous level for every single frame, because that's not feasible.
Well, yeah, and you've also like got to look at it from the perspective of a comic has one frame to portray all the detail it needs for a specific moment in that story, whereas animation could have 24 frames a second, and have like a minute worth of that to do the same exact moment in the comic book panel. So it's like they don't need all that detail in one frame because they've got so many more frames to animate with and sell other details that are happening.
Just like we discussed in the past, going from live action to animation gives you access to things that you also lose certain things, like the actor's facial acting. Going from animation to comic books, you gain some things and you lose some things. They are all valid mediums in their own right, and it shouldn't be a case of pointing at them and going, look, it's not as good as that, or that's not as good as that, or whatever. because at that point you are disrespecting one of the two mediums by saying you're not enough like the other one.
Yeah.
But I'd never considered it that way before, and I thought that was quite a interesting thought. But overall, I thought the episode was really good. One of the best title card usage we've seen so far.
Yeah, it was a creative one. Do you know what's funny? In between last week and this week's episode, have you seen the TikTok filter that got made?
I have.
Of the Invincible, like any word that you say in, like it cuts it. That has then made some hilarious TikToks that I've seen of people that not necessarily have watched the show but saw the trend and made stuff. There was someone trying to tell a story and they're like, "Oh, I would have done this inside," but every time they kept trying to say inside, it would just cut and it would like break their brain because they're like, "Why does it keep doing this?" And it took them like 4 attempts to realize, oh, it's when I'm saying in. But yeah, they've been so creative with these title cards. And obviously now we know exactly that these are linked up to match these Invincible versions. It makes me every season, like I'm now going to be intrigued next season what the kind of gag is with it.
It was very cool. It's more like, although we called last week a bit of the filler episode, it's kind of doing the same thing last week did, where it goes, remember this in season 1?
Yeah.
This is what the repercussion of that was. So last week he did it on a small scale. You remember what you did when you helped out that criminal dude and then you got your ass beat by Battle Beast and then your dad had to save you?
Yeah.
This is the repercussion of that. And then the last time out it was, remember last time when you killed a bunch of people, your dad? This is the repercussion of that.
Yeah.
I know some people went back and looked at some of the season 1 of the fight scenes of like the Battle of Chicago versus what we were shown in this episode.
Yeah.
And some of it was changed slightly because we were seeing it from Powerplex's point of view.
Yeah.
So it made Mark look a lot more destructive and a lot more evil than he did in the actual episode, which I think is really good storytelling. Instead of just reusing footage and saving yourself time, they're like, no.
Yeah.
We saw Mark's point of view, how that happened the first time around. This is what the victims of that saw.
Yeah. I think that's smart.
Yes, it was a really good arc, very poignant, very powerful. I look forward to seeing what more we've got out of this season.
Yeah, I mean, we've got 2 episodes left. Obviously, we know this next one's most likely going to just be a big old brawl, which is going to be intriguing to see. Part of me was like, oh, I wonder if Alan and Omni-Man rock up, but I don't think they show up yet. I think it's still too early. Which then means, how is Mark going to fight this many alternate Marks?
I think
is this when Oliver oversteps?
Maybe. I think we need to remember as well the layman of the Invincible universe is not gonna believe, understand that the multiverse exists.
True.
He's gonna have a hell of a time explaining that the Invincibles everyone saw doing horrible things weren't him.
Well, you say
this is gonna damage his reputation.
But he changed the color of his suit, and people thought he was a new superhero.
Yeah, no, but they still thought he was connected to Invincible because they thought he was Invincible Boy.
Yeah, but like, if he goes, maybe this is why he has to go back to his original colors. Maybe there's like, oh, people think all that was somewhat linked with Invincible.
But if you just imagine,
I get what you mean.
If you imagine for a minute, you're in this world. You've just seen on the news this dude has gone nuts trying to kill Invincible because of what happened in Chicago, and he doesn't think it was all up to code. That's enough for discussion to be having on the internet. And then you see a dude in Invincible's costume, but in Omni-Man's colours, flying about, killing people. Your brain isn't going to go, oh, I bet it's a double ganger. Your brain's going to go, oh shit, he's gone off the deep end.
Well, considering like some of them look very similar, some of them obviously look very different. But yeah, I get what you mean. There's going to be an issue there. It also is going to make it. I wonder if like you're going to get. We know Guardians of the Globe and the Rex and all them lot.
Yeah. Rex and Co.
They're gonna have trouble being like, wait, which one's our mark?
Yeah.
Am I fighting the right one? Yeah,
Especially because you've got to remember, these are still Viltrumites, right? I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
they're marked, but they're so it's not like it's an easy fight,
No.
even if everyone teams up on one dude. So
This is what I mean.
I will not be surprised if there is like a moment where Rex and Co manage to just survive one,
Yeah.
and then our mark arrives to help, and they're like, "Who the fuck are you? I will mess you up, bro."
Yeah, Rex is like, oh no, here we go again. I'm gonna die.
Yeah, because they're gonna any mark they see at the beginning,
Yeah, they're not.
they're going to assume it's their mark. Even if Mohawk Mark turns up, they're just going to be like, new haircut, dude. It's a bit weird.
I guarantee there's going to be some joke from Rex meeting the first one and being like, oh, you've changed your hair or something. And then it's just punched to the face.
I've got to be honest, I kind of want the Omni Mark to be the one that meets Rex, just so Rex can make a joke about how, dude, that's kind of cancelable to wear Omni-Man's colours, or some reference to be like,
the one with the
that's kind
mustache
of poor
is like,
taste.
I maybe wouldn't grow the mustache like that.
Yeah, but you just know Rex is going to make a shitty joke about whatever one he bumps into. He's like, I don't like the new look, and then get fucked up. But yeah, and that's going to be the problem. He's going to arrive to help someone after they've survived a previous mark and just be like, what the who are you, motherfucker?
You might also end up getting Cecil thinks, oh, for fuck's sake, Mark's back again to just have a tantrum, but it's actually one of these other marks, and he then realizes, oh shit, this is what happens when he isn't somewhat on our side.
And even if it doesn't directly affect his relationships, even if once it's dealt with, they're like, okay, cool, that's fine. Any time Mark arrives now, all these people are essentially going to have a PTSD response of, is that our Mark?
If he ever changes his hair slightly or something, they're going to be like,
he's going to have to send out an email blast to everyone going, by the way, I've got different colour socks on today. Yeah. It's not a big deal.
I had to get
it's definitely going to have a lasting impact, I think. I think most people will survive it. There'll probably be a death. But there is definitely going to be a lasting impact of everyone going, holy fuck, I thought it was you, and now I never know if it's you ever again. Because not knowing it's not you is a death sentence when dealing with an evil version of you.
Yeah.
And it's also going to fuck with Mark's entire idea when we look at like episode 3 or whatever it was, when he had to go and kill Immortal. And they had that conversation of, but that wasn't you.
Now he's got to kill himself.
Dealing with alternate versions of himself who were evil is going to leave him going, right, but what was so different about them that made them evil? And does that exist within me as well? Am I the exception rather than the rule? In which case, how long am I going to be the exception for?
Yeah. It's going to be, because, and then you've also got Oliver's mixed into that. He's gonna end up having to need to let him just.
He's gonna have to help. There's no way to survive it without.
It's gonna have to be no rules. We gotta survive this sort of situation.
Yeah, get it done.
How does Oliver react after the fact of he's now killed, or was like maybe told now, oh, it's okay to kill these people, but not like, yeah, that's gonna add another level of
complexity, yeah,
so
sure.
I feel like these last 2 episodes are going to get real messy for Mark.
Yeah, there's going to be an emotional weight to the end of this season finale. And to be fair, every season's finished with a bit of an emotional heft.
It has.
But I feel like this could be just another step of, holy fuck, I don't know. I think there's going to be an element of, I don't know how much longer I can keep doing this.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, going to be completely fair. But I know a lot of people have been joking. Like, they said at the beginning of the season, Mark's 138% stronger, but I feel like he's been getting his ass kicked all season. Seeing Mark, like, let loose against some Viltrumites could be kind of fucking epic.
Yeah, but I don't know if 100 and whatever % better is going to be enough for 10 versions of him or something, whatever it was.
Yeah, it's not going to be ideal, that's for sure.
Yeah.